what happens when you have the audacity to tell people what's really on your mind? Well, if the wrong person disagrees with you, you just might get blocked and kicked off and deplatformed. I have a guest today that's going to tell his story. More on that coming soon.
You're listening to the Unframe of Mind show, the place to have the most mind-stretching, unprotected, intellectual intercourse of your life. Your host, Daniel Wagner, battles the forces of evil by lobbing fiery balls of truth, reason, and evidence over safe room walls.
So my guest today, Harry Douglas, is one of my friends. It's been on the show in the past. He's otherwise known as the Swamp Cleaner on Twitter. He's a dyed-in-the-wool, hardcore #MAGA junkie. He's a conservative and a Republican, and he's also, well, at least according to some, he's also a bigoted, racist, homophobic, and detestable, deplorable human being who has the audacity to share his thoughts with others. So welcome to the show, Harry.
Oh, thank you. Throw me in that basket, please.
Yes, yeah, that's. I figured I'd start you off on the defense. How about that?
I know. Thank you. I get that all the time, so I'm in my element. So what can I say?
Right. So why don't you tell the audience a brief story about how racist you really are?
Well,
I mean why you got kicked. Why you got kicked off Twitter? I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, mine is a little bit more. If you look on the algorithmic side, straightforward, and I believe that's what's actually triggered it. I don't believe I was maliciously targeted. But based on who I was responding to, maybe somebody did pick it up and maybe reported it, which started an algorithmic tick on the tweet itself. But for the context of the show, I was responding to Bunty King. Everybody who watches the show probably knows who Bunty King is. He's a semi-popular person on Twitter and in the internet sphere. But he was tweeting out some screenshots of some kind of credit card scammer that was using English in a very bad grammatical way, because I guarantee it wasn't their first language that they were typing with. So, and they were threatening to go after him because he wasn't going to give them money. He's like, "Give me your credit card information, I'll come after you." So I was responding tongue-in-cheek, going, "Ha, ha, ha," kind of like in an Ahmed the Dead Terrorist kind of way. So I type out in broken English, I fucking kill you. I don't know if you're going to bleep that out or not for your show. But I typed it, "I fucking kill you." Ha, 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 like in a kind of like a funny way. And I never even thought about it. Just tweeted about it and let it go. Next morning, I wake up and my account's banned or suspended. So I appeal it. Tell them that in my email, hey, this is just something taken out of context. But of course, we all know when it comes to Twitter, context does not matter with these people. So I guarantee you it was just an algorithm that caught it. They probably just, whoever did review it, looked at my account, probably said, "Nah, I don't like this guy," and just let the suspension go. And that's where we are.
Right on. That sounds like fantastic news. You really appreciated that, didn't you? I don't know if you're aware of this, but our mutual friend Chris decided to post about it. He said the transgender activist and influential Tumblr blogger Harry Douglas has been suspended from Twitter. This is a sad day.
I need the victim points, please. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, he took a screenshot here, and yeah, that's what it says. It says, "This is so official. Hello, Harry Douglas. Your account, the Swamp Cleaner, has been suspended for violating the Twitter rules, specifically for yeah. So basically saying I fucking kill you. That's probably."
Yeah, it was algorithmically caught. If it catches like you saying "kill you" or anything like that,
yeah,
it should flag you probably.
So that's the thing about these things, man, is they don't like.
But then Sarah Jean can type out "all white men can die" or like "kill all white men."
Oh yeah,
women can tweet that out on Twitter.
Yeah, so it wasn't the kill word. I think it was the combination of "kill you."
Mm-hmm. That's what it is. Yeah, that's what probably flagged it.
Yeah, because they've got that set up as like they probably have it set up as like, oh, that's targeted language, that's hate speech.
Oh yeah, they said it was violent threats.
Yeah. And they don't really have any way of knowing. I mean, these people are going through. I mean, I see in there to play devil's advocate here. They go through these things. The people that actually go through all of the actual messages that people are getting blocked for or flagged for, they've got a few seconds to make a determination. Is this a bad one, good one, bad one, good one, bad one, good one? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yeah. And they do that all day. Like, I've been
appeals that they have to deal with a day. Yeah.
Right. So I'm sitting there. I work a manufacturing type job, and when I'm doing that, there's times when I'm sitting there like I'll do the last 10 units and not even realize that I've done anything. Like the repetition of it all kind of gets to. So I mean, you got that kind of comes into play, but. I think a repeal is a little bit different because then you're asking somebody, okay, take a few more seconds here and really look at this in context and see what you think. Is this still something I should be banned for?
Because that's what I responded to in my email, in my appeal. It said the context of this thread is based off of him showing us a scammer of some sort. I wasn't being specific. I was just telling them the nature of what I'm responding to. So I was trying to give them the context. I was polite and all that stuff. But after I appealed a day after, I got just a boilerplate response saying, after the review of your appeal, we have found that you're still in violation of and violent threats, and your account is suspended for pretty much for good. Thank you, Twitter. So it's either that it's just an automated system that just doesn't care, or the guys who are like looking at these things are just ignoring the context. And I don't know if it's their bias or if it's all the.
So this is not
that's going on.
This isn't a temporary banning you received in this case.
No, this is just a suspension that has no end to it.
A suspension with no end. So it's not like. I'm not like necessarily permanently deleted, but I'm kind of just in the void here in purgatory.
Yeah, we just threw you in the closet, and you're just left there now.
So have you made any attempt to try to create another account to see if it's IP address blocked or anything like that?
No, I haven't. I'm just actually taking it easy the next couple of weeks because I was banned, I think, about 2 weeks ago? Or about a week and a half?
Yeah, it's been a little while.
Week and a half or so. So I'm actually enjoying it a little bit, being off Twitter and relaxing. I'm taking the holiday off, and maybe the new year I might venture around looking into the possibilities. But
yeah, I try to click on it and it says, sorry, that user's been suspended. So yeah, you're still suspended, homie. That is another interesting aspect of all this is like you kind of they kind of did you a little favor in a way. Like it forces you to step back and take a break and take stock of, okay, I can breathe for a minute, I guess. What else do I do with my time? How much do I fight this? Like, is it?
I know. Well, I knew it was going to be a straightforward, just like scrubbing of my account because I'm like small potatoes. I'm everybody like I'm a 1 in a million person, so you can get rid of my account with no problem whatsoever. So I've already come to that fate, so I'm gonna just move on and see what else I can do.
So what would moving on look like for you then? Like what's your next? I mean, I'm assuming you still want to have a show. I'm assuming you still want to have some kind of.
I'm going to do a couple of YouTube. Still going to do the occasional YouTube video. I'm going to do one about have a Merry Christmas to everybody. Talk about how all this changing of staff in the White House and all these revelations. Everybody just needs to stay the course. Just trust in Trump. So I'm going to do maybe a video for New Year's and Christmas. Keep doing stuff that's about current popular topics that's in the politics realm. So
cool. So at the risk of spending an entire hour just talking about this, maybe we can go into some other topics. I was curious.
We'll move on.
Yeah, I'm always curious because you're like super, like I said at the beginning here, a super hardcore MAGA guy. Stay the course, trust Trump. Kind of almost this replacement for a god. It kind of seems like it's. I don't. Before you you begin, let me clarify, because I know I don't associate you as I do with some of the real like nutty hardcore MAGA guys, because some of these people literally kind of, I almost suspect they think he is like the second coming of Jesus. Like it's like that
Mhm.
kind of fervor they put into their energy, their messaging, their like everything's all about Trump is like the God Emperor. It's sickening. Um, I'm just curious, in your opinion, is there anything that you think Trump could do better? Like what do you criticize him on, if anything?
He definitely needs to research into his legal options more. I think what he's being told things like pretty much at a glance. He needs to actually sit down, take some time, and really study his options so he can actually decisively take care of some of these issues that he's been having, which have been lingering for a couple of years, if you know what I mean.
So what would that mean? I mean, I know you said he should sit down and take the time to study, but I mean, at the same time, he's got a fire hose of shit coming at him right now. Like
Yeah,
what would he do differently, in your opinion, to make all this go away?
differently. I mean,
Like what would be the result of him sitting down, looking at the actual laws on the books, and that studying of the legal
getting rid of the
system, like
Mueller
what you're.
probe right now. That should. I mean, in the conclusion, it found they are in pretty much. Uh, they need to have judicial discipline. They need I'm sorry, I'm getting my phrases wrong, but the way they have handled their investigation has not been in the course of discover for justice. They have been doing it for an ulterior motive, which uh, causes them to have punishment that should be accordingly put towards the Mueller and his team, because Flynn has not done anything wrong. He's been pled guilty to lying about something that he forgot about, which is not a crime. And they have this all predicated on false information that was rubber stamped by Rosenstein. So there is, if he actually follows through, because I hear this coming out of the people who I follow, like Cernovich, Chamberlain, all these figureheads coming from the right, but not from the mainstream people that he continues to retweet and talk about. So there's a disconnect there, and I think um, that's a successful campaign by the powers that be in the tech industry to cut people off, censor them, and etc. like that. But that goes into a bigger story.
Yeah, I can't even imagine sitting in his position and trying to figure out who I can trust, whose opinions are accurate, who actually does understand the legal system, who understands the legal system and is giving me advice that I can trust. You know, there's so many different, overlapping qualities that the people he chooses to pay attention to, like they have to have in order for him to actually gain any kind of valuable insight from. And like how would you handle that? I mean, like if you got so many people constantly trying to lie to you, constantly trying to misdirect you and misguide you, and how would you handle that? How would you differentiate between one versus the other? That seems like almost an impossible task.
I would try to find the person who has the least amount vested in any kind of narrative or any kind of agenda. Somebody who doesn't have any skin in the game, like somebody who you can trust, somebody who you know from your past, somebody who you can relate to, who you know personally, but who doesn't have any fingers in any pies, and those kind of people are hard to come by.
Yeah.
But
Talk about
you need to have a confidant. You need to have somebody who you can talk to, who you can confide in, who you can double check, who you can have a consensus with, that isn't trying to lead you astray.
Do you think that was part of what he was doing in the first place when, he first comes into office and he's got all these people, his own family and extended family, in certain positions of power that he could appoint them to? Do you think that was part of that strategy? And
I do believe so, and I think it's also why you see a lot of turnaround, why you see a lot of people coming and going, because the atmosphere that Trump is in is very quote unquote toxic. So people who come in who do have maybe the president's best interest in mind might, for some other reason, be corrupted or be, led astray by other people who are trying to spread information or who are trying to get those people to actually switch allegiances. So, I mean, you have people who are like, for example, Jared Kushner. You haven't actually really heard too much about him in the last couple of weeks or the last couple of months because I think he's just there doing his job. Ivanka, same thing. She's just been doing her job as his advisor, and she hasn't been in too much controversy except for that email thing, which was even the same thing that they try to amount to with Hillary.
Right.
But when it comes to trusting those people, you have to. It's pretty much, I equate it to Hollywood celebrity marriages. You know everything's going fine when they're not in the press, when they're not in the tabloids. You know, when they're always in the tabloids, it's like they're fighting over the baby or getting divorced. That's the problem. When you don't hear about them, everything's going fine. So it's when this turnaround happens, it's because these people, I think, get led astray and then start infighting, start going against the grain, and that causes the drama which President Trump doesn't want. So he'll use that to pivot away and then keep working behind the scenes. So I think that's why it goes back to the whole trust in Trump. Even though it looks like it's turmoil on the surface, it's like the iceberg. There's like so much underneath.
No, I guess I can understand that perspective. I mean, because I'm sitting here from the outside looking in. We the best we can do is guess, honestly, about what the heck is going on behind the scenes. I mean, there's so much information that we're not exposed to, so much extra, classified and unclassified information that he's getting that we're not getting, and you kind of do have to take the position of trust the course in some cases, because I mean, what else can you do? I mean, if you really think that Donald Trump is your guy, you kind of got to. You got to kind of try to follow along and guess the best you can and hope that he's making the right decisions. You got to trust him to lead. I mean, if you voted for him.
Because I have one question. Back to when it says to your point about who he has to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when he asked the question, "Wow, look at all this big tech censorship. Something needs to change," when he tweeted that out months and months and months ago, right after Alex Jones got banned.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, like, we all assumed, oh, executive orders are coming. He's going to put a lid on all the censorship and stop this. But he hasn't done anything. I think that's because he hasn't been able to have the people relevant, the people who experience it firsthand, us, the content creators, to actually be able to get to him and talk to him and understand how to resolve the situation and get it at the root of the problem. So I think there needs to be a pathway set up to get contents, even small and medium to large content creators, individuals, to get their voices up to the president, because they have vital information that he might need.
Gosh,
that's just something I wanted to get in.
Yeah, that's still crazy and positive. Man, I can't imagine. This is more from my anarchist perspective. Is like I can't even imagine trying to be one guy over everything. Like one guy that has like his finger on the lever of power, and trying to determine what's the best thing, probably for the most people. What's the right move? What do I do? How do I even, like, the people that I'm getting information from might have the best of intentions. They might not be compromised, and there might not be a conflict of interest, but they just might be wrong. They just might be but there's no way of telling.
For example, look what happened just yesterday. General Mattis resigned because Trump, he came in. General Mattis became what was his chief of staff or one of his main generals?
Man, when you if you're going to ask me names, I fall short on that. I'm terrible with that.
I know that he held one of the positions of his administration. I think it was a chief of staff or the chief of the generals or joint chief or something like that. But he resigned. But he was in that position knowing that Trump's campaign promise was to get troops out of Syria, to get troops out of Afghanistan, but he still did his job for that time because he was the best fit. Everybody's trying to make a controversy saying Trump doesn't know how to manage everything because he constantly loses people, but that's because, I mean, people can work with him, and it doesn't matter if it's 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years. At a certain point, the person, their usefulness has come to an end.
Are you talking about Mick Mulvaney?
No, I'm talking about General Mattis. He resigned yesterday. This is like
no. You were asking who was something else, another position. I was trying to recall.
Oh
the
no,
name.
I was trying to remember which position Mattis was holding.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay.
But he was against pulling out of Syria because of reasons of, there's going to be a vacuum and terrorists will come back in and yada yada. But there's actually been deals made where Assad will actually stabilize the country, or Russia will pull out and actually pull Iran out as well to stop all that tension in the Middle East between Israel and Iran. So that is actually a part of the deal that a lot of people don't know about. So that is why we're actually pulling out of Syria, because that is actually going to finally stabilize. Afghanistan, we still have 7,000 troops there, but we had 14,000. He's pulling half out. He's trying to see what we can manage with 7,000 and actually finally reduce in that arena. But Mattis was against this, so he parted ways with the president, and they were already having a rocky relationship for the past month, so it was going to happen.
Yeah, just to be clear, the General James Mattis was the defense secretary. That's what he is resigning from coming up at the end of February.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay. I just want to make sure you get that information correct.
Yes, always want to be correct.
Yes, absolutely. So if the goal is to get troops out of these foreign entanglements, I am all for that. Absolutely. The more the better. Because I'm sitting there looking across the pond, and I'm like, why? I'm trying to figure out why the hell we're over there in the first place. Let alone why are we still over there now? And it's like I actually heard a stat that was pretty interesting. This is a slight shift in topic here, but it was something to the effect of we're actually losing more soldiers during training accidents than we are. Like, that should tell you something that, dude, your military, the size of your military is like completely out of control. Like, why do we need that big of a military? Obviously we're not doing that badly abroad if we're actually losing more soldiers in training accidents than we are in the actual wars we're supposed to be fighting.
I know. This is crazy. I was actually brought up that topic to a coworker of mine last night at work. They were explaining, they were trying to ask me why Trump was pulling out of Syria and Afghanistan. Like, they didn't understand that we had an obligation to finally stabilize those regions and actually remove ourselves, because we've been there for almost close to 2 decades now. It's time to get out of there. And I mentioned, hey, we've been, like, it's actually been dying down out there. Like, the number of incidents have been declining. Even though Al-Qaeda is trying to mobilize again in Afghanistan, the Afghan army and their special forces are doing a good job in maintaining that. So we can actually move out. And I was explaining to them that we are actually dealing with a lot more equipment failure than anything, and that's causing the lives of trainees here in stateside in training accidents. What was the last one where it was two planes collided and a couple of Marines were killed over the sea out in the Pacific? But stuff like that, it's happening more and more. And we need to actually address our equipment issues, and that's why Trump was actually trying to get the military funded the last time he had a budget done. So I mean, he's trying to look out for the troops. He's trying to build up and maintain our military that has been stagnant for the past like half a decade, or almost close to a decade.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insane. But if I had it my way, we'd just pull out of all wars and just stay home and defend. I mean, it's a lot more bang for your buck. It's a lot cheaper to defend than it is to attack. And
well,
I mean, I know we have got ourselves in the situation where we have this obligation to help defend our allies and that kind of thing, and that really kind of muddies the water. It makes it almost impossible to pull away from those things. But as far as politically is concerned, but it's like we got to do something, man. There's something we're not doing well, and by all indications, as far as economically, regardless, despite what Trump says, we're not doing well, and cutting back on defense budget, which is arguably one of our largest expenses, besides welfare spending and that kind of thing, and unfunded liabilities. Like we gotta make some cuts, and we gotta make some dramatic cuts. Otherwise, we're heading into a cliff right now.
Well, I don't know. What's funny and a lot of people don't understand is when you hear spending cuts, and you hear Democrats or Republicans screaming about, oh no, we're cutting spending. People don't realize that they're not actually like spending. They're actually cutting back on what they spent from the year previously. They're just reducing the amount of money that they are increasing the budget on.
Correct.
So let's say
I understand.
From last year, they're going to raise it by 50%, but they're going to cut it to 35% increase. Oh my God, it went from a 50% increase to a 35% increase. Oh no, that's a cut. Well, we're still increasing spending. So,
Right.
I want to know where all this extra spending is going to, and all the increasing is going to. Is it going to the welfare? Is a lot of it going to the now almost dead Obamacare? What is it?
Yeah, so according to the U.S. governmentspending.com, I'm looking at a little pie chart for 2019, and the biggest chunks of spending are healthcare at 28%, pensions at 25%, and defense comes in third at 22%. Welfare is one of the other big ones at 8%, which matches the interest rate we're paying on all of that. But
you know what, pensions is a bad one,
right? So
a lot of that you can thank Democrats for passing on that.
Yeah, we're looking at some pretty big numbers, and arguably the only area in here that we should be in charge of, and on a federal level, is defense. General government is only 1%. Transportation, they shouldn't have anything to do with that. That's what
shuts down. That's what they scream about. That shuts down is the general government at 1%.
Yeah. That's the big man. It's insane. Like these numbers are staggering when you start getting into them.
They make you get upset about nothing when you should be getting upset about the stuff that's right in front of your face.
Oh, absolutely. That's a big pet peeve of mine, man. I'm sitting there like the big issue right now is the border wall. If you're watching this episode, it's probably been 2 or 3 weeks since that happened, but the big debate before the government shut down and the border wall. I'm interested to see how it actually plays out. The government's probably going to shut down. Who knows? I don't know.
It's already partially shut down.
Yeah. Okay. So that was supposed to happen last night at midnight. I heard.
We're still shut down right now.
Yeah. And just it's really wild. Like all the chaos that I see around me when I open my door. Like there's fucking bombs flying and like it's wild. I can't believe the chaos that happened when the government shut down. Like, what about you?
I saw a nun stab a priest outside.
You saw a nun stab a priest right outside your front door?
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys. The government shut down. Y'all could have done that somewhere else. Like, did you say anything?
She was screaming about fiscal responsibility and then ran away with his heart. I don't know.
That's amazing. Like, yeah, total chaos in the streets. Like, what most people would call anarchy incorrectly. That's what we're seeing right now. Yeah, that's wild. So. This is so much fun. But anyway, man, I listen, I hope you do get your Twitter account back if that's something you want, and I hope success for you in the coming year.
Well, you probably won't see that account, but you might see me around somewhere.
Yeah,
might see me
absolutely.
My head up,
so Harry, I sure appreciate you coming on the show, and if people want to check you out, I'll make sure to have a link for your YouTube channel in the description below, so people can find your work there. Is there anything else you want to leave us with before we sign out for the day?
Sure, everybody's going to see this after the fact, but I hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and that everybody drinks responsibly. So
All right, you're giving him
have
a
a
peek.
good one.
You're giving him a peek behind my curtain about how early I record some of these things. All right, Harry. Thanks for coming on, man.
All right, thank you. You have a good one.
Wow, was that not the best ideagasm you've ever had? Want to do it again? Go to unframeofmind.com to find more mind-stretching, world-altering podcasts, videos, and articles, and get those critical thinking juices flowing.